If you walk out on your tab, says my pal, Alan, the bouncer, I will hurt you. Physical violence is my forte, my friend. Last night I saw him for the first time in 3 weeks. Now I'm back in Key West after Costa Rica. He really hated me at first because I would bring laptops and notebooks and Shakespeare to the club, and all the girls would surround me, and there's sometimes an older brother syndrome with bouncers protecting strippers, and so it was with Alan. But I told him every time he scolded me for breaking some written or unwritten rule, like putting my foot on the bar or taking photos, even if they were of my handwriting on a napkin, I told him we would be friends someday. That's why I called him Palin, my pal Alan. And last night I was writing and he brought me his phone and showed me a poem he'd written last week when something went wrong on a boat and he thought he was going to die. It was a fireline poem and it dealt with death. I wrote a poem about Alan and gave it to him as the club closed. Today I showed up early at 8:30 to bear assets, and when I walked in I didn't see Alan, although I was looking for him. He was behind me, and he kicked the back of my knee as I was standing talking to Pete, the other bouncer, who was manning the front desk. But Alan didn't push my knee hard like most people do. I turned around and looked at him. His face was soft and sweet and happy like I had never seen before. I read your poem out loud to the staff last night as we were closing. It was very theatrical. I acted it out. I thought maybe he hammed it up, mocking me, but I didn't care because if I'm getting mocked, my best bet is to go with it. And besides, if they're laughing at me or laughing with me, they're laughing, so it's all good. As I was writing this, I thought I saw Pete approach in my peripheral. What are you writing, a screenplay? I responded without looking up. No, I'm writing about Alan. I looked up. Oh, you're Alan. He laughed, and so did everyone that heard me, either with me or at me, no difference. And Alan said to the bartender, he wrote me a poem last night. I read it to the staff. It was like beat poetry. Alan wrote a poem. You could see I wrote it in a burst of consciousness, Alan said. And then there'd be a line break. Alan is a poet. Oh, he liked my poem about his poem. People love couture compliments. And as I was writing this, a stripper from Russia came up and leaned on me in that way girls do when they want my attention, but I won't give it to them. What are you writing, a journal of strippers? I kept writing and ignored her. I can't read it anyway. Your handwriting is so ugly. Damn. I laughed because it's best to go with it, but I thought this was my best handwriting of this whole notebook. I had smoked weed, and I was locked in the moment, writing each letter like the page was skin and I was tattooing it. Oh well, we all do our best every moment, the best we can. I'll tell you later. Yesterday I was reading the Key West Citizen with Evan. There was a story about a guy who ran from the cops after wrecking his car crashing into the Hilton Hotel. He was found in the bushes. The bartender came over and said, yeah, I heard the sirens. I live right by there. This morning I was looking, like, which bush was he hiding in? How'd he get caught? You just gotta sit down there for a while. Or if it was me, I'd have walked straight up to the cop, ask him what's going on, who they're looking for. That's worked for me a couple times. Ask him who they're looking for when I know they're looking for me. You gotta own it. They're looking for someone flighty and nervous. He was right, I think. They're looking for a flight risk, like women, but cops want to take you when you're nervous. Girls won't take you anywhere. You might flee. Evan goes, you have to see this blonde behind you. I don't look, however. I just hit weed, and now I'm writing at the hookah bar, 1:32 a.m., thinking of Mo and how he'll never talk to me again, perhaps. I hope he forgets how it felt when I hurt him, and if he forgets me too, I don't mind. I'll forget how that hurts too. Or will I? Anyway, a big party here tonight. The 21-year-old Argentinian girls are streaming in now. I can sense them even when I don't look. The bouncer said he'd never seen them charge a cover the nights he's worked before here. $5 tonight. Evan tipped him 5 extra, and he said I can keep it like no one had given him a tip before, at this door at least. The Argentinian girls are cool, too. Easy to strike up a conversation with. You might run into that one that's a bitch, but don't let that fool you. Evan said some guy walked in at 6'8", so I'm going to go walk over and see him. Oh, I never did actually end up doing that. That guy slays a lot of puss. Apparently he looks like Kurt Warner. I can't see from here, but I'll walk over and I'll tell you later. Oh, well, I guess I just lost my blue pen while I was talking to Casey Jordan's brother. He told Evan that when Evan said he lived in West Hollywood, James said he knew the area because his sister Casey Jordan was a porn star there. Isn't it great when people name drop? I told him I listened to the Casey Jordan interview 50 times, that it was my favorite Howard Stern hour. It's been scrubbed from the internet as far as I know. The video was gone, but some clips of the audio might be floating around. And me and James hit it off. He asked me where I live, and I said I've been on the road 10 years. He said he'd driven a school bus from Oregon to Arizona to Key West. By the time he left, he invited me to come by and smoke a bowl in his school bus on Alberta Street. I told him he could get shitty blow at the strip club, and I told him these Argentinians spend a lot of time in the bathroom. So watch the bathroom door. Gotcha, he said. When I told him I had never seen her porn, but I watched her Howard Stern interview, he said, do you want to talk to her? And while I was writing that, a kid came and asked me what was up, and I said I was writing, and he said it was good. It was like that book, The Road. I said, by Cormac McCarthy, and I reached into my brown paper bag that's holding all my stuff because I don't have any pockets because I'm dressed like a pirate. 3 people told me today I'm dressed like or look like a pirate, and this kid's brain didn't click. And this kid's brain didn't click when I pulled out All the Pretty Horses by Cormac McCarthy. And he said I reminded him of these guys who ran around hitchhiking and they would tell you straight up what's up. I said they were effusive, which is the word I used to describe the beats to Andrew Toporoff. Or did he use that word? And now I've tricked my memory into thinking I used it. I told him he should read the beats because they were mad and wild and earnest, and he said effusive, I remember now, and he had always thought the beats were too cool for school characters, and by now I had realized he didn't mean The Road by McCarthy, he meant The Road by Kerouac, and I told him Kerouac, I'd read him 15 times, he was probably my biggest inspiration for writing, although Burroughs was my biggest for thinking, and Ginsberg for singing, and Neil for dancing, and Corso for poetry. Eben just taught an Argentinian girl how to smoke a cigarette she had bummed from him. You have to breathe in, suck in while you light it. You have to breathe in, suck in while you light it, like this. And the guy said he might look like a degenerate, and he smiled, and then said he reads a good bit. He just called it The Road because he's fucked up. Oh, this is a different guy than the guy who knew Casey Jordan. Right. Mm-hmm. The Casey Jordan guy, he was like, do you want me to call Casey Jordan right now? I can FaceTime her. And I was like, at this time of night, she'd probably be fucked up. And he was like, she's fucked up a lot. It's kind of sad. And, but beautifully sad. He was like, I understand. I've been there before myself. Nice guy. Anyway, the guy figured out he was Kerouac and blah, 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 blah. He just called it The Road because he's fucked up. He took a few pills, Molly, and some acid, and was smoking his weed pen. And he said he liked my ring, the octopus one with the pearl. So I said, here, take it. It's everybody's favorite out of my rings. And he said, no, he can't. And I said, try it on. And he did, and I said he could get it resized. And I said, just tell people you found it in the bathroom. No, tell him you found it in the gutter, because I know Mike Tyson used to do things like that, give away cars and jewelry to hookers on street corners. He took the ring, I wrote down my Instagram, because both our phones are dead, and he told me I was writing real good. And he said he wasn't blowing smoke up my ass, and then he smiled. And he asked, I hope you don't mind if I ask, but living in the Marquesa Hotel must be expensive. I said it was the most expensive, that's why I chose it. And he said, okay, you're booling. And I smiled a shithead smile, like the two smiles he'd smiled before, and he said, come over. I'll give you some tabs of acid. Well, that was cool, I thought. I didn't have to pay. And he said my Instagram was folded up in his wallet, and the way he said it seemed to indicate his wallet was a special place, sacred even, and he would DM me on the gram, IG, and the AM. Me and Evan want to start AM radio. I'll tell you later. Sorry, baby, you have to take my clothes off before you touch me. I only do public displays of affection with my friends, and we don't know each other that well yet. That's the way. No, that's a way a pimp can get a bitch to stop touching him without backhand slapping her. A good exercise for posture is to put all your weight on your feet. It's all down there anyway, if gravity is a law. So hunching your shoulders to the sky doesn't make you literally light in the loafers. You just look hung up like a coat on a hanger. I'll tell you later. If I lose Mo as a friend, no matter. I've already gained a lesson about speaking my mind and criticizing without forgetting that my target is trying his best. No need to hate anyone. The only thing worth hating is death. I'll tell you later. Treat every moment like it's her virginal wedding night. You may have seen many moments before, but this moment now has never seen you. Time to make an impression. You're always a white belt this way. First time, every time. I'll tell you later. Now I'm sitting at the southernmost mansion. I walked down to watch these seagulls, and a guy is standing there. I asked, was he staying in that little room on the water, which is the best room in Key West? I haven't seen the inside. It's probably not Lux, but it's built right next to the helipad they put in so the King of Spain could land there, and it's the only room anywhere near there. I figured... How long is it so far?
8 minutes and 37 seconds.
Fuck it. I figured he was staying there because he was behind the crotch-high wall that separated his room from the public walkway around the pool. Good fences make good neighbors, and he was an older, richer white man, so I thought he'd respect space, so I stood a good way away from him, and I said nothing. And he mumbled something about the seagulls, feeding the gulls, and I said, do seagulls eat fish? And I watched a gull banking right over the ocean, 20 feet in the air, and I followed him with my eyes, and below him I saw 6 pelicans in a row on 6 wooden poles that were black and wrinkled, the remnants of some long washed-away dock. And the biggest male was on the farthest out pole with his yellow, so bright in the sun, feathers on his head, and only his head like some Fellahin warlord. They looked like batters on deck, stretching their necks and preening their feathers, awaiting their turn at the plate. And the gulls were parked sharp and sleek like fighter jets. The gulls on the poles, that is, perfectly still, awaiting orders to take off. Conversely, the gulls on the concrete mosey about like they're killing time in the pilot's lounge. I pointed to the pelicans. They eat fish, I said. Yeah, the old rich white man said, gulls don't. There's an iguana over there. He walked through the arch in his wall, coming closer to me. There it is. His movement cut the distance between us in half. I stepped a few feet away. and told him about the moon roof on the iguanas where the pineal gland sits and preens in the sun that acts like an internal clock. So if you're somewhere a tree blocks the sun at a certain time of day, you'll see all the iguanas move 2 minutes before the shade comes, because they know where the sun will be. How do you know that? I said, my friend's a vegetarian. Oh, I thought maybe you were. We stood and watched the iguana move towards a woman sleeping on her stomach on a chaise lounge by the pool. He should wake her up. And I had an image of her chubby, blue bikini, sun-damaged American white 50-year-old body screaming bloody murder at an alarm clock iguana. And me and the man both laughed at his joke and fell silent, and he chuckled again and fell silent, so I chuckled again, like a puppy imitating its father's bark. Where are you from? I counted out on the fingers of my right hand, which have no rings on them, with my left hand bearing 4 rings. New Orleans, New York, Los Angeles, and Palm Beach. Besides that, where do you live? In the moment, I said, and I smiled. The iguana moved closer to the sleeping woman, and he moved 2 feet closer to me. I used to manage electrical utilities. That was my career, outside of Nashville. And iguanas don't like the cold, and we don't find any out there. The power went out. We had to get hospitals and nursing homes back on, and this guy kept calling. Finally, I said, what's your problem? And he said he had a bunch of iguanas as pets, and they're moving really slow. The old rich white man chuckled. I told him, you don't have a problem. The iguanas have a problem, I said. And the man repeated, the iguanas have a problem. And we watched the iguana walk under the sleeping lady's chair and onwards away from her without disturbing her sleep. I'll tell you later. You need a new credit card, the bartender, Oakley, who I call Ray-Ban, told me. What happened to this one? Well, it was a normal credit card, and then I was at a hotel in Hollywood, and my friend wanted to fuck a Kazaki whore, but his girlfriend was in town, so he wanted to use my room, and he was cutting out this really, really rocky Coke, and he must have been in a hurry, because the plastic coating on either side of my metal credit card may have been a little frayed before that night, but when I saw my card in the morning, there were chunks of rock from little pebbles to 1/3 of a gram boulders jammed underneath the plastic. So I've had to tear off little pieces every once in a while to fit the card in the chip reader. Yeah, you need a new one. No, I don't. I pointed to the card. To me, that's fashion, that's style. You're right, she said. The card has history. Well, you changed your mind fast. You did, she said. So I think she misheard and thought I said, I changed your mind fast. That's good, like when the doctor hits your knee with the hammer. You want to have a quick reflex. It's like that with changing your opinion. So it's healthy, she said, and she smiled. I'll tell you later.